The temptation of being our finest selves during life's journey is frequently accompanied by routines and actions that take away from our hence. Why do we occasionally behave in ways that irritate others? Could it be that we unintentionally embrace distance in our search for connection? Patterns that make us less desirable in the present. So we set out on a Stoic quest to examine 5 behavioral errors that might drastically lower your beauty. This investigation goes beyond only finding defects to knowing them well and becoming adept at changing them using the knowledge of Stoic philosophy. The great Stoic scholar Marcus Aurelius once remarked that very little is needed to create a happy existence is all within you in your method of pondering how frequently we turn to others for approval, enjoyment, or achievement when, in reality, these qualities are rooted in our own shame of allowing these undesirable traits to define us, or are we prepared to confront them, ourselves to develop past their Stoicism and its rich legacy of emphasizing morality and self-control provides insightful information, exploring the reasons behind the unattractiveness of these habits and how we can realign. By adhering to Stoic ideals, we can align our behaviors with the attributes that genuinely connect with others, can develop habits that not only improve our connections with one another, but furthermore guide us toward a more contented, tranquil, and prosperous life. Let this voyage be one of discovery, in which the way is illuminated by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Are you ready to consider these in relation to our best selves? Examine how Stoic lessons can assist you in changing the ways that you behave in your life. Come along as we explore the complex but useful ways that Stoicism can help us to get past the obstacles preventing us from being attractive and to discover our genuine potential. If you're prepared to take the next step, please remark. Travel today's top exalt yourself boasting is frequently interpreted as a sign of a person's need for outside support. Validation as opposed to a sincere display of self-worth, this behavior was excessive self-praise, not only devalues people, but also makes them less appealing. Sincere human relationships, Stoic philosophy, with its stressing self-control and humility, provides important insights about why, because boasting is so harmful. Think about Epicurus, a Greek Stoic philosopher who advocated turning one's attention inward rather than outward when looking for approval. He once said, "If you wish to be, external sources loved love." This straightforward yet wise counsel draws attention to the Stoic conviction that one can control their own behavior and views rather than trying to manipulate others' opinions by boasting. Why do people boast? Is it a sincere expression of pride or a cover for insecurity? Think back to instances where you were the target of boasting. Did it help you get closer to the person, or did it make you feel more distant? Stoicism shows us that real confidence is quiet. It doesn't require announcement triumphs or try to win favor by making big pronouncements. Epicurus also observed that not what occurs to you, but rather how you respond to it matters, and this is especially important to comprehend why boasting is ugly. It implies a self-esteem-related reactivity that depends largely on the erratic and frequently changing emotions of others. Surface-level Stoicism encourages us to take an active stance toward our value, developing unwavering values like self-control, bravery, and humility in the face of outside viewpoints. Therefore, how can we use this Stoic wisdom to enhance one's physical appearance as well as their inner and meaningful way? Begin by praising your accomplishments without casting a cloud on them. When others celebrate their accomplishments, they acknowledge and value the contributions of others. Do you have any examples of instances where someone shared success with you? How did that make you feel about them, Marcus, in a humble way? One of the timeless lessons imparted by the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Aurelius was that the greatest way to exact revenge is to unlike the person who caused the hurt. If you've been turned off by choosing to be different and humble over arrogant, sharing instead of boasting, and choosing this route not just leads to genuine self-worth, while also encouraging others to respect and admire you on your path to a happier, a more contented and prosperous existence. Keep in mind that the loudness of boasting alone muffles the voice of genuine virtue so that your deeds speak louder. Then what you've said reflects the Stoic practice of every night. Ask yourself, were my actions, when you consider your daily activities? Thinking back on the qualities I want to live up to today, how can I, by eschewing boasting and adopting a Stoic humility, you advance the path to a life full of sincere friendships and self-respect? This shift not only improves your appearance to others, but also enables you to live a life of happiness and inner serenity. Keep in mind that in the quest for a happy life, let your deeds and qualities light your way, not your reactive music words. Number 2. Reactive reactivity is the propensity to react hastily to circumstances, as opposed to being considerate, is a behavior characteristic that can greatly reduce one's beauty and practicality in applying the Stoic concept of life to its strong focus on restraint and reason, offers beneficial explanations for why this quality is harmful, and suggestions for developing a more composed manner. Consider the guidance of Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher who endured a lot as a slave at birth hardships throughout his life, yet in spite of them, he developed into Epicurus, known for his unwavering knowledge and composure, notably stated, "It's not what occurs to you, but rather how you respond to it." His thoughts and life demonstrate the Stoic conviction that our power does not reside not in commanding the outside world, but in commanding our reactions to why is being reactive viewed as unappealing. Have you ever seen when someone lost their cool in a difficult circumstance? What was your instant response to their outburst? Unchecked reactivity frequently results in unfavorable opinions, since people favor those who can remain composed under duress. Examine the situation of Marcus Aurelius, a fellow Stoic philosopher and Roman. An enormous amount of pressure was placed on the emperor during his. Despite these pressures, he is recognized for his philosophical work in administrative chores. Thoughts on keeping perspective and composure in the face of life's, he said, tumultuous. You have control over your mind, not outside events. Acknowledge this. You will discover resilience in Marcus Aurelius's example demonstrates how the capacity to maintain composure and thoughtfulness is a prerequisite for earning respect and true leadership. Regardless of the environment, how can you use these 3 ideas to lessen reactivity in your own life? Start by paying attention to your current responses in diverse contexts that set off your impulsive answers. Are you able to spot trends? Stoicism encourages us to take a moment to think. Prior to acting, engage in a routine that improves not just our relationships, but also our Epictetus offers helpful advice, as well as self-respect. Don't justify your philosophy, embrace it by emulating a composed, reasonable philosophy. Replies you become more appealing and powerful by default. This strategy does not imply not repressing your feelings, but instead controlling them in a way that suits your ideals. And the circumstances require us to now think about how changing your life could be affected if you turned your reaction into reflectivity instead of reacting angrily to a provocation. You understood what might have happened. Rather of acting on a wish right away, you gave it some thought. Long-term consequences. As you develop a more thoughtful and less reactive approach, you more closely resemble the Stoic values that lead to a life of peace and effectiveness. Define this transformation. Not only increases your attractiveness to others, but also instills a stronger feeling of happiness and accomplishment in your own endeavors. Let this message to speak to you. You aspire to be the person who maintains composure in the face of difficulty. Heart, choose the Stoic discipline of reflection above reactivity. This change improves not just how other people see you, but also richer, more contented existence. Keep in mind that feeling is not the main objective but to behave less impulsively and allow your emotions guide you in the process. Represent the insight that has made Stoic philosophy a source of courage and support for centuries. What are your current strategies for handling reactivity in your own life? What tactics have you discovered to be successful? Share your ideas and comments below. We'd love to hear about your experiences with Stoic, the third premise to everyday challenges: lack of absence of drive. The very word ambition evokes images of striving for and frequently surpassing. But what exactly is a Stoic person's ambition really consist of? However, this antiquated theory asks us to analyze the characteristics of our drive and impels us to reveal the layers. Is our aim just a shadow of our wants to show their essence, seeking approval from others, or does it serve as a beacon pointing us in the personal development and moral behavior? Stoicism is a virtue-based ideology and self-control above everything else provides a thorough assessment on ambitious Stoics who braved the perilous waters of Roman politics, such as Cena remind us that genuine ambition is more about the depth of our goals than the heights we can achieve. The life and writings of the fictional Seneca provide as a lighthouse for people researching the He confronts the superficial allure of status and power with penetrating eyes, challenging the origins of their own ambitions. Queries: if the person in possession of a large library and collection of books is incapable of taking in even one principle and applying it to his. This hypothetical query challenges us to think about whether our aspirations lead to attain real wisdom or just amass as mementos that collect dust. Consider: when was the last time you experienced true fulfillment from an accomplishment? Was it the acclaim from the public that brought you comfort, or the personal understanding that you had developed in a significant way? Stoic philosophy instructs us to prioritize the latter in order to shape ambitions that are independent of the cheers of the audience, yet they remain rooted in the soul's constant expansion. Another Stoic tradition, great Epicus, said succinctly that the first thing to consider who you would be, then take the necessary action. Following this instruction reduces Stoic ambition to its core. It's about imagining the moral being you want to be and matching your deeds. Thus, the Stoic ambit is contemplative and self-reflective. Centered on perseverance and self-improvement, as opposed to conquering and accumulation, take into account the contemporary environment where ambition frequently results in an unceasing pursuit of greater wealth, position, and power. But Stoicism asks us to consider whether these pursuits are improving are we pursuing shadows rather than fostering life, or are we just making things more complicated? Essence: the timeless teachings of the Stoic philosopher Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Sage advice: the only wealth you will ever own is the wealth you have shared. His viewpoint challenges us to rethink ambition as a weapon that's not just for individual success, but also for making a positive impact on the well-being of others. This redefinition not only strengthens our mission, but also makes us more appealing as people, dedicated to achieving the greater good in your personal life. How can you utilize your ambitions to encourage others as well as oneself to move forward? How might your goals fit into a larger picture of collective and personal fulfillment by accepting a Stoic attitude toward ambition, which we promote rather than a reduction in motivation, but an increase in it? We change our goals from turning self-serving endeavors into avenues for authentic self-expression, and perhaps this change in perspective can result in a more contented, tranquil, and ultimately prosperous existence in which our goals are a true reflection of our core principles and aspirations. So let's decide to reframe our goals. such they're not ends in and of themselves, but as a method of achieving a higher goal. A life of virtue, wisdom, and sincere contentment is what Stoic ambition truly promises, not a trophy room of accomplishments, but a spirit strengthened by intention and enhanced by service to being reliant, others ranking fourth, or being needy. How often do we find ourselves looking to other people's approval to feel important or recognized, that the neediness tendency can seriously compromise not just our connections, but also our individual appeal to Stoic philosophy that promotes independence and emotional resilience, pushes us to seek approval from inside, cultivating a sense of freedom that is both freeing and a lovely examination of Epicurus's life, who was born into slavery. Rose. His lessons emphasize how he went on to become one of the most significant Stoic thinkers. The significance of depending on oneself for psychological and emotional support. The only worthwhile objective in life is stability and independence, and it is won by ignoring. He claimed that since things are outside of our control, this viewpoint encourages us to think about our own tendencies toward neediness and whether we look to others for approval. Feel good about ourselves, or are we allowing others to control how we feel? Why is neediness viewed as undesirable when happiness exists? Examine the dynamics of any partnership in which one person is unduly dependent on the other. Such as dynamics frequently result in imbalance and unhappiness, which people typically choose to establish a connection with people who radiate self-assurance and independence instead of those who seem emotionally reliant on wisdom, as reported by Seneca, provide a sobering reminder that if you truly want to get away from the things that bother you, you should needing is to be different, not to be somewhere else. This saying urges us to change from the inside out rather than looking outside. Why not develop our own internal validation without external resources that explain how to use Stoic principles to overcome? To begin feeling needy, determine where your self-esteem comes from most. Internal, based on self-perception, or external, depending on how others saw you. Recognized and self-directed attributes and accomplishments that Seneca's life was full with. Political upheavals serve as an example of upholding morality and mental serenity, despite outside unpredictability, as a lesson in how real stability comes. Additionally, Marcus Aurelius offers from within advice on being self-sufficient. You control your thoughts, not the outside world. Events will acknowledge this, and you'll find strength in what this potent insight says. That we may preserve our dignity by managing our emotions and behaviors. Attractiveness in any circumstance. Think about how taking a more Stoic thinking could alter how you interact with people. What if you concentrated more on growing in virtue instead of aiming for other people's approval? How would your relationships if you were more independent and less dependent on others in your pursuit of a happier and more prosperous life by adopting the Stoic virtue of while self-sufficiency can bring about transformation? This strategy doesn't imply withdrawing from others and instead bolstering one's emotional core so that relationships with people are motivated by a desire for reciprocal development. Let this serve as a call to action rather than a cry for emotional support. Instead of looking for approval from others, develop your inner fortress and let it be the source of your validation. External sources. By doing this, you not only make yourself seem more appealing, but also adopt the Stoic practice for relationships that are healthier and more balanced, of self-sufficiency, and observe how your life changes as a result, becoming less dependent and more confident, that you'll discover that not only do your connections get better, but your general life satisfaction also plays a role. What actions can you take right now to begin the process of developing into a more self-sufficient and emotionally strong person? Individuals, share your methods and reflections in the comments. We'd love to learn about your progress and insights. Number 5. Using self-deprecating humor. Employing self-deprecating humor. Self-deprecating humor, when used sparingly, can be a tool for humility and relatability, but when abused, it may show a lack of self-esteem and can ultimately make one appear less attractive. How do we find the balance, and what does Stoic philosophy have to remark about this frequent social tactic? Ponder on the ideas of Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher-emperor recognized for his deep views on life and governance. He believed in the significance of self-awareness and truthfulness, often writing about the attributes of knowing oneself honestly and offering that self to the world without pretense. The pleasure of your life depends upon the nature of your thinking, he stated, adding that a belittling perspective of even injustice could impair one's sense of life. Why might self-deprecating humor be appealing, and why it poses a risk? Have you ever attempted to make a situation fun by making fun of yourself, or to come across as more personable, which might temporarily relieve social, overly self-deprecating conversations, might develop into a habit that reinforces bad opinions of ourselves rather than making others like us? Stoic philosophy gives a viewpoint by emphasizing human integrity and resilience. Epicus, another well-known Stoic, on comedy as a reflection of our inner state, instructed that we shouldn't base our identity on what other people think of us, but instead establish an internal base of dignity and assurance that our thoughts about what is happening to us are what disturbs us. What occurs, he said, is that insight is vital when self-deprecating humor is used. Are we contributing to negative reinforcement? Amusing self-reflections on how we might implement Stoic ideas. In order to employ comedy skillfully without compromising our sense of value, it's crucial to keep an eye on the motivations behind our comedy, to see if we're utilizing it to serve as a sword, to pierce through social barriers, or to deflect real fears. It takes a sharp mind to create a comedic style that elevates rather than denigrates. Understanding of oneself and the bravery to show oneself. Genuinely contemplate the potential effects of altering your comedy style on your relationships and self-perception. What if humor was your main focus? If highlights peculiarities rather than defects, how may this change improve not just what people think of you, but also what you think about the Stoic as you strive for a more prosperous and meaningful existence? Guidance on developing a healthy sense of humor and maintaining composure can lead to stronger bonds and a more complete sense of self. This strategy corresponds with the Stoic objective of living in accordance with one's actual nature, leading to let this serve as a call to action for greater pleasure and peace. Consider how you employ humor in your day-to-day interactions and work to develop a style of humor that promotes sincere communication and conveys a positive self-view links. Keep in mind that the objective is to guarantee that, rather than stifling your joyful side, that it grows in health-promoting ways. Health-why and self-affirming comedy embraces Stoicism's wisdom by not acting as a tool, not for self-deprecation, but as a way to acknowledge and appreciate life's intricacies. While modifying your funny expressions, note the impact this has on your conversations and general well-being. What actions can you do right now to cultivate a more upbeat and encouraging humor? Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section. To learn how you are using Stoic principles to laugh and find joy in the little things in life. Life in our investigation of the 5 faults in behavior that reduce our final verdict: beauty, boasting, indifference, lack of drive, neediness, and excessive with self-deprecating humor, we have discovered the characteristics of these behaviors, as well as additionally the great influence Stoic philosophy has on our relationships and lives, provides us with a guide to help you avoid these mistakes and go in the direction of a manner that draws esteem, friendliness, and sincerity links Marcus Aurelius famously remarked that the finest form of retaliation is to be unlike him who carried out the injury in light of our conversation. This entails putting aside undesirable tendencies and downplaying it, forces us to live up to the characteristics that improve our relationships and our lives. Every behavioral error we've talked about presents a chance to call to develop virtues like purposefulness, humility, and tranquility, self-reliance, and a sound self-esteem. Allow us to apply these teachings to using heart to apply Stoic knowledge to change not just how other people see us, not to mention how we view ourselves as we work to live a life marked by harmony, contentment, and humanity. Keep in mind that the journey starts with the individual. The shifts we want to see in our relationships begin with changes inside ourselves. Accept these Stoic ideas on a regular basis and observe how your reality transforms. Join the discussion and discuss how you're putting things into practice. Insights in your life. Let's work together to create a community centered around development and virtue. If you think this discussion is insightful and worthwhile, please click the like button, write a comment with your thoughts, and remember to share these enlightening ideas to those in your vicinity. Whether you're a new member of our channel, to get deeper Stoic lessons that will aid in your development yourself. I'll see you in the upcoming lessons.